such thing as an unresourceful person, just an unresourceful state. Just have a look around at you all. Just go ahead, have a look. People are incredible. People are extraordinary. I'm often just so fascinated just looking at the amazing things that people can do. Like just look around you. How did we decide to make this? Who worked out how to make a computer? Who worked out how to project it on a screen? It's just mind-blowing the things that people can come up with. Coffee, tables, chairs, extraordinary. You all are extraordinary. Yet the challenge is, often we don't live in a space where we access the best of us. We operate in a survival mentality, or we settle, or we're limited. We're held back by various things that hold us back from being at our best. But each of us have the capacity to perform well in a whole range of different fields. So, love seeing people, take the handbrake off and find themselves and be good at being themselves. So here are a few ideas about being at your best in the areas that matter most. So we all each have different criteria about what matters most in the areas we'd like a win in. So here are a few ideas about maximising that. Coaching starts with this question: what do you want? If you don't know what you want, we're not having a coaching conversation. It's a confronting and dangerous question, but a vitally important one. So many people I say, what do you want? And they say, I just don't know. Or the other one is, nothing. I've got everything I want. I don't believe either of those answers. It's safe not to know what you want, because the moment you say, this is actually what I want, then you set yourself up for failure, disappointment, rejection. So it's much safer to settle for what you can get. I'm running a coaching workshop for Year 11 at Golden High at the moment, and ask that question, what do you want? And already at 16, 17, I don't know. If I had asked that question to Year 3 kids, what do you want? Everyone knows. But by 16 they've kind of worked out, no, that's not how the world works. You don't get what you want, you just settle for what you can get, and you just survive. But it's a crucial question. What do you want? What is inside you? What is the dream? What are you heading for? And then when you get that, to actually form that well. So not just to say I want to be fit, because what is fit? How will you know that you're fit? When that's an outcome that you've stated that you have no chance of achieving because you can't measure it. So setting well-formed outcomes. So when you answer that question, what do I want? Being specific, measurable. Is it attractive? Is it something that you desire, or something that someone else wants for you? Is it realistic? Time-bound? Ecological? I know what I mean by that. So is it good for you and good for your world? Or is it just a goal that you've only considered the implications for you? What are the costs associated with getting that goal, and is it resourced? Second key is to take 100% responsibility for your current results and the results that you look for. So many people are living with blame and excuse. Just, I would have achieved this, I would have done this, except this happened, or this person said this, or I can't because of this force. Well, sure, but we're not actually victims of our world. When our life is not made up of the things that happen to us. We have the responsibility and the power to make changes and to get the results we're looking for. Check the intention and consequences. So again, back to the idea of what you want and being clear about that, challenging and confronting question, but when you get clear about it and you form it up so that it's specific and measurable, then being clear about why you want that. I would love to do this exercise with someone with the queue lining up for Powerball. So there's 20 or 30 people lined up. What do I want? I want to win $40 million. Okay, why? What's the purpose of that? So outcome, intention, consequence. I love doing this just with circles on the floor. One circle is the outcome that you want. Now take a step back and say, if I had that, what does that give me? And if I have that, what does that give me? And if I have that, what's so good about having that? What's the purpose of that? So stepping back and finding why behind the what. And then once you've identified the why behind the what, then just step sideways into the consequence. So what's the consequence of having this outcome? What does it cost me? What are the benefits and disadvantages? Now, I'm sure most people have never imagined that there could be disadvantages to winning $40 million. But the stats are extraordinary on people who win lotto. What happens 10 years later? A lot of them have lost that money and all their friends and family. and are worse off than before. If you get something before time, it's a blessing, not a curse. Sorry, it's a curse, not a blessing. So this idea of understanding the why behind what you want and exploring the consequences. And then knowing the intention and the consequences, going, will I still choose that outcome? Yeah, actually I would. Or would I change it? I think it's just a great question to imagine, to ask what are the costs associated with getting this outcome, because everything comes with a price. And if you're willing to pay the price, great, fantastic, go for your life. Create anchors. So much about high performance is a well-formed outcome and a high performance state. What do you want, and then who do you need to be to achieve that? What kind of state? Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the fact that on your best day, you're capable of some pretty extraordinary things. On your worst day, you're capable of some pretty ordinary things. If you can control your state, you can control your outcomes. If you can't control your state, you've got to wait for external things to control it, like a beautiful day, or someone giving you a compliment, or there being money in your bank, or something giving you a great feel. But people who perform well learn how to control their own state. And one of the key ways they do it is with anchors. So an anchor is, in the height of an emotional state, if our senses are triggered, those two things get linked neurologically and get wired in our brain. So smell is the most powerful anchor. I'm sure you can all think of a fragrance, and if you were to catch just a momentary waft of a fragrance, it would take you back. Maybe it's wattle, or maybe it's your grandmother's detergent you use, or hot dogs, or you could catch a smell that would take you back to that holiday you took in Europe, or whatever it is. But smell transports you, and whether you want to or not, and not only to the memory but also the emotion associated with the memory. Music, sound is a great thing. A song, you could hear a song that you haven't heard in 10 years, and immediately it takes you back to the very thing you were doing when you bought that record or you heard that song. That's why people love the songs of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, because it reminds them, and more than reminds them, it transports them back to happy times. Touch, taste, space, they all are anchored to certain things. So knowing that that's how the brain works, you can actually create resource anchors for yourself. Sports people do this all the time. This technology was first experimented with beach volleyball. So the coaches would anchor focus and clarity to the feel of a slap on their knees. So between points, they would the athletes would slap, and that feel would be anchored to something they practiced again and again in training, of being focused and clear, forget about what had just gone past, and focus on the future. Tennis is exactly the same. Top 100 players, you couldn't imagine there's much different in their skill level. The difference is their ability to control their state. So a 100th ranked player might win a set 6-love, but then lose the next 2-love 6. Nadal or Federer are not going to do that. They're going to, they might win every set, but they're going to be there. So the bouncing of the ball, or picking the undies out, or wiping the brow, or whatever it is, it's an anchor to state. So you can have some fun with this, creating some, your favourite fragrance, your favourite clothes, getting a playlist of music that just is good for your soul. That having a favourite coffee shop, having a morning rituals. I've got a magic book and magic pen that just are anchored to creativity. That I only use it when I want to be at my best. People who perform at their best have ways of accessing their best state, and you can do that very simply through central anchors. If I was to ask you this, running your business is like what? What would be the first thing that comes to your mind? Running your business is like
making the perfect cup of coffee.
Making the perfect cup of coffee. Fantastic. Anyone else want to share what running your business is like, what it feels like?
Running a marathon.
Running a marathon. Whether you're aware of it or not, metaphors are part of how you function and how you live. So whether you can articulate them or not, subconsciously, there's metaphors about what your life feels like to you. And it's part of the frame with which you experience life. So when you say running a business is like a great cup of coffee, is that a good thing for you? Is that excellent?
Yeah.
And when it's running a marathon, is that a good thing for you? Do you like running marathons?
Oh yeah, ups and downs.
Ups and downs.
Yeah, it has its fantastic moments, and then other times you think just get over the next hill.
Fantastic. When I first started in business, people asked me, what is it like? And I said, in over my head. I'm really in over my head. Now that metaphor of drowning.
That was late.
Sorry. So that metaphor creates anxiety, creates stress, frustration. I had to change the metaphor and find a better way of framing my experience, because if you change the words you use, you change the experience you have. So finding ways of capturing what you want your business to feel like and speaking that way gives you something to hang your journey on, and becomes a story you live out of. Become friends with yourself. Learn some really interesting thing about trauma, and what happens is people stop becoming friends with themselves. So people who are often in traumatic situations go into tough places. Their body tells them, I don't want to be here, but their head says, we have to be here, this is my job. So sooner or later, the body throws up signals that says, this is not sustainable, and I don't like you anymore, and I'm going to sabotage this. So chronic fatigue, massive anxiety, so that the physical person can't function in that place anymore. Working with trauma people, victims, it's a matter of building that relationship with themselves again, to learn to listen and trust to what's going on. There's a whole world of knowing beneath the surface, and a whole bunch of stuff that we can listen to that often we don't. And pain is a gift. If you were to stop and listen to your pain, what is it telling you about what's not sustainable? About what needs changing? Often we just smash a panel and soldier on. But if you do that again and again and again, you break rapport with yourself, and you start sabotaging your own performance. So treating yourself like you would your best friend, listening, trusting, caring for, is a great way of accessing your best. Program success. Often when people talk about themselves and to others about what they do, it's often negative, which becomes the kind of program that you live out of. So one of the key things around success is actually speaking to yourself like you are the person you want to be. Shad Hemstetter wrote a book, What to Say When You're Talking to Yourself, and he uses the metaphor of it's like our conscious mind and our subconscious mind is like the captain of the ship and an engine room worker. The captain gives the order, the engine room just follows the order. So people's self-talk is often, I'm not that good at business, or I don't make friends easy, or I struggle with finance. So that's like the order goes out and the engine room worker goes, great, I'll go work out how to suck at business. I'll go work out how to not be good at making friends. And lo and behold, that's the evidence you get. So if you create a different instruction, then your subconscious has a different answer. So go start talking to yourself like you are the person you'd like to be. It's not just positive affirmations, it's programming. Go start speaking to yourself. I'm great at business. I make fantastic decisions. I'm an outstanding leader. I'm clever. My best comes out under pressure. I'm creative. You'll be amazed at what you start seeing. I got to speak to a group of people recently who are all facing redundancies and all about to lose their job, and just they were so stressed and overwhelmed and anxious. And the key part of what I got to share with them is you are not your job. You are not what you do. You are more than that. And when you tie yourself to what you do, then you become so driven and so controlled by external forces. To be at your best, you actually have to be free from that attachment of what you do. Free to give yourself ownership of your own value and worth, not tied to your performance, your achievements, your possessions, because then those things control you. And the moment they are threatened, you go to water. So learn to take 100% ownership for your own value and worth. Flow state is a really amazing thing, seeing people in peak performance really accessing the magic. Flow is where risk and skill meet. So if you think about two set of axes, risk and skill, if you think about high risk and high skill, that is flow state. That's someone in their space doing what only they can do, and it's an extraordinary thing to see. If you're in high risk, zero skill, that's total anxiety. If you're in high skill, zero risk, that's total boredom. The biggest challenge, I think, is medium risk, high skill, which is confidence, which I think a lot of people operate. It looks like it's a magic, but it's still far too safe. People are holding back. Flow, the real magic exists where you're out having a crack, and it's a place that you're uniquely skilled to do. Lead yourself well. One of the things that people in peak performance are really trying to do is impact and influence others. Often they're telling people to do stuff that they're not willing to do themselves. You see this with parenting all the time, and parents really wanting to love their kids and release them and see them achieve their dreams and go live well. Yet what they're modelling is playing safe. What they're modelling is surviving. If you want to really impact, you want to lead others to do life well, you have to show them what it looks like. Go model it. Go give them an example of what a compelling life looks like. Deal with your stuff. Don't play it safe and hide. Model success to others. We all have moments of doubt and inner conflict where part of us is really excited and part of us is terrified. And I think people who operate in peak performance and do well learn how to negotiate this inner conflict. And the key to it is understanding that both parts of you, when you're at war, want the same thing. So if you imagine the part of you that's scared, the part of you that's holding you back, the part of you that's sabotaging, the part of you that's procrastinating, what's the purpose of that? What's the highest intention of that? Well, it's just safety. They don't want you to get hurt. And what's the purpose of not wanting to get hurt? Well, it's so you can feel good. And what's the purpose of that? Well, the purpose of wanting someone to feel good is you want the best for them. And what's the purpose of wanting the best for someone? Well, it's love. And so the part of you that's protecting you is trying to love you, just as the part which wants you to succeed and move forward is trying to love you. And when you can see that both parts are actually trying to achieve the same thing just differently, it's an amazing, amazing discovery, and gives you a chance to actually work together congruently with yourself and deal with these fears and doubts, because they are essential. And some people imagine to be successful you have no fear. That's crazy. Fear is very useful. It's very important to being alive. It's about managing that and negotiating the conflict that it presents. And finally, get a coach. So people with peak performance understand the need to have someone external to them speaking into their world and able to help them see what they can't see. The things that I love most about coaching is that it's a judgment-free space. So when I'm coaching long-term unemployed client, for instance, we have a program around the country with employment agencies helping Stream 4 clients get unstuck. And I love walking to a room with a Stream 4 client and saying, listen, I don't need anything from you, and I'm not here to fix you. And I promise you, I will forget about you. And I will not lose sleep over you. And I'm not saying this because I don't care. I love people. But I'm not another person who wants something from you or wants you to do something you don't want to do. Tell me what you want. What are you looking for? Tell me that and I'll give you everything I've got to get you more of that. But it's your life and you're the expert in your life. I'm just here to serve that, which is an extraordinary space. And means you can have very real and very challenging conversations in that place. And it's massive leverage for change. Coaching judgment-free, outcomes-focused. I think coaching's cheeky because it steals the best bits from counselling and psychology and just frames it so much more powerfully because it's outcomes-focused. Doesn't get stuck in story, doesn't get stuck in what's happened. It says, yes, that has happened, that is true, but what do you want? And what are you going to do from here? Looking for the outcomes you're hoping to achieve. And for that reason, massive leverage for change and massive leverage to access the best parts about you in whatever area you're looking for because you're the expert. Thanks to anyone who did that. And any questions?